And of course, I don't know a single person in the autism community who hasn't asked themselves in the last few months, oh my gosh, what is it like for the families and the individuals with autism in the Ukraine? And I, for one, have felt powerless. Powerless is the word. So Molly is here today. She is on the job and she's going to talk with us about what is happening, what we can do, what we need to know, and how we can get involved. So let's welcome back to the show, Molly Ola Pinney. Molly, am I slaughtering your name?
No, that's exactly what it is.
Okay, great. Welcome back. And
Thank you.
I know, tell them what the conference is that you are at today.
Yeah, I'm at the CASP conference in Portland, Oregon. So the Council of Autism Service Providers. I'll be addressing the room of 500 participants later this afternoon, sharing with them the work that's happening currently within Ukraine and with folks who have been able to safely evacuate Ukraine.
Okay, so there's a lot going on. Where do you want to start? Do you want to talk first about what the Global Autism Project does and then morph into Ukraine, or how do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I think you did a good job summing it up. Really, what we do is we build capacity for services worldwide. We've done this work for 20 years. And I think you're right. I think we did talk for the first time about 10 years ago. And that was about 10 years into this journey, which is pretty wild. Although it was like the slowest startup ever. I spent 8 years learning how not to run an international autism organization. And I'd like to think over the last decade or so, we've started figuring things out. Typically what happens is people around the world reach out to us saying, hey, I'm the only person in my country. We need services for kids with autism. And then our team provides training in order to allow them to build their capacity for services. We also partner with governments and universities in order to train people at a local level. Oftentimes, there are very few people with any professional training, whether it be in ABA, speech, OT, PT, or anything within a lot of countries. And the Ukraine and Eastern Europe is no different.
Yeah. And one of the things that I was really struck by when I first met you was that I don't know if you still have this program, but for people who were working in the field, you were asking them if they had a week or two, their vacation,
Yeah.
if they would like to donate their vacation, go to another country. And what I loved so much was the model was that they would go in and not try to just do 2 weeks worth of therapy,
Right.
because what's that do?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but what they
Exactly.
would do is go in and train the people there for what to do when they left in 2 weeks. I just felt that that
Yep.
was brilliant, Molly. And there are so many times when I talk about when I'm overwhelmed, I like to think about the fact that there are smarter people than me on the job, and Molly's one of those smarter people. I love when I feel like we're not going to be able to help everybody. I love knowing that Molly and people like Molly are getting it done. So thank you for that, Molly. I get to sleep because
Thank
you're in the
you.
world. So tell us what, and I know it changes minute by minute, but what is the status right now in Ukraine that you are aware of? Because there are many stories that we're hearing. Talk to us.
So it does change minute by minute. And I want to just back up for a minute and say, how on earth did Molly get involved, get herself involved with this? And what happened is about a week ago, this is why Shannon had a very last minute phone call. I was like, Shannon, call me. She's like, I have 2 minutes between meetings. I was like, that'll do it. Here's what I need. She's like, I'll see you Monday. So I really appreciate that. And we've had overwhelming support. About a week ago, almost a week and a half ago, I joined a Facebook group that was called Ukraine Autism Help. And I posted in that group, I'm the founder and CEO of the Global Autism Project. What is needed right now? And I was just thinking, I'll just get a few comments, and I'll just get an idea of what's needed and start to feel out if there's something we may be able to help with as services start to become, as we need to rebuild things. Well, instead, I received over 200 comments, 200 messages in my personal inbox, people finding me on LinkedIn, and I had all these messages in full Ukrainian. I speak English, I speak a bit of Spanish and a bit of French, not Ukrainian.
But
So
I'll
I
bet by next week you'll know
yeah,
many more words.
but I now recognize the word hello and thank you and
There we
autism.
go.
And so I spent a lot of time on Google Translate. And there was an overwhelming need for basic things, right? Housing, food, clothing. Um, there were a number of people who had started taking this on sort of individually. So I connected with some of them. They were literally, calling people in Ukraine, calling people in Eastern Europe, seeing what they need. And then they had organized a whole supply chain. It's phenomenal. This will not surprise you, Shannon. These are autism moms.
Yeah.
These are autism moms getting it done. So, I sleep a little easier knowing there are autism moms in the world, because I think, if anyone's going to get something done, it is a mom of, of an autistic person for sure. So I connected with them and, again, learned that the biggest need right now, the immediate need, in addition to people are asking for sensory things for their kids, they're asking for devices or laptops that they can connect to a teacher. They're also asking for housing. So over last weekend, I was able to contact Operation White Stork that was founded by Will McNulty. And we were able to get housing vouchers for everybody who contacted us who has a family member, an autistic loved one that they have evacuated with. We can get housing vouchers for outside Ukraine. So I think we've had about close to 100 inquiries in our inbox specifically for the housing vouchers. We are also able to connect with some folks who are able to do evacuations within Ukraine for families who are still there. Something that we don't think about a whole lot is we hear about everybody being evacuated. We know it's women and children. We know that men can't leave. And what I hadn't quite thought all the way through, I guess, and maybe just because my brain didn't let me go there, is there are autistic grown men who are still in Ukraine who cannot leave. So they need a place in the country that is safer, that can meet their needs. And then for people who have left, again, their needs range from, basic Maslow's hierarchy needs, right? Like food, clothing, and shelter to the higher needs. Things like services for their kids and school materials for their kids and a place for their kids to go. And we estimate there's over 100,000 refugees with autism right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That gives us a little bit of pause, right?
Yeah.
Because that can quickly overwhelm us. But what I love about you, Molly, is that you work the problem
Yeah.
little by little. So talk to us a little bit about what, and I know the plan is morphing minute by minute too,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Depends when you ask, right?
Yeah. But this morning, as of right now, what is the current plan, and how can we get involved? And I'm
Yeah.
sure that there are many different levels of ways that we can help. What can we do?
Absolutely. So the main thing that we're working on doing right now is creating these autism resource hubs, and we're trying to feel out if this is going to work. Parents of loved ones, of autistic loved ones, are leery, obviously, of labeling their kid, of coming to these resource centers. And this has a bit to do with stigma, and this has a bit to do with, probably more to do with, people fearing mistreatment of their children. So, like, why are we looking for these kids? We've gotten a few emails to that effect. And so I'll actually be going to Poland this Friday, meeting with families. We have a kind of MO in our organization to do with and not for.
Yeah.
And so we'll be connecting with the families and seeing what specifically is needed. So the initial idea is to create autism resource hubs, also to start to create community around the displaced Ukrainian teachers and therapists. We have a number of incredible teachers and therapists displaced from Ukraine saying, like, if I could just have a building, if I could just have materials, I would start my center again today, right here. Even
Okay.
though I've lost everything I have, my country, I have no idea if and when I'll go back. I'm going to start this right here, right now for these kids. And it's been unbelievable to just have access to these conversations and see what people are doing. So that's step one, is to start to galvanize that group of people to create these autism resource centers so that parents can go in if there are sensory things that they're wanting to get for their kids, if they need clothing for their families, if they need whatever it is that they need, this would be available to them. The bigger piece, as I said, we have over 100,000. We're not going to be able to build hubs and centers for 100,000 students in the next week. What we will be able to do is to deploy technology to these families. And so we have partnered with multiple, it's an autism, I believe it's a venture capital firm for autism. You have to look it up, multiplehub.org.
Okay.
And their mission largely, multiplehub.org, and their mission largely is to support the autistic community at scale using technology.
Okay.
And so they're an incredible natural partner for us to be connecting with and to be sharing this work. And so one of the things that we're trying to do, in addition to building these on the ground hubs for immediate humanitarian support, is also creating an opportunity for families to be able to use and leverage technology. So whether that means getting devices to them, and that means building a community of Ukrainian teachers and therapists who can work with more kids. We're also taking into consideration the mental health needs of the parents right now.
Yeah.
So how do we get these parents connected to each other, connected to people who can help with them? So if you go to our website, globalautismproject.org, you can make a donation. And we also are going to have a button on there later on so that you can actually set up your own fundraising page. You can crowdfund. You can say, hey, I alone can't donate $10,000, but I have a community of people who can raise $10,000 probably in a few days, honestly.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people right now want to help. They don't know where to help. And I think for our global autism community, we've all been wondering what's happening. You see the trainfuls of people going, you go, where are the kids with autism? Are they getting on those trains? Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. So there are a lot of families who are still in Ukraine because they've not been able to evacuate. And so we've been working with some folks to support them as well. But they can't evacuate on a bus, on a train. If you think about your own kids that you know or work with or love, and adults, you can't just get on a crowded train in the middle of a war, and that just won't work.
Yeah.
So it is it's more intense than anything that I've ever worked with. And I've done some heavy work around the world in 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously we did not, when planning the budget for our work in 2022, we did not plan on intervening with a war.
Yeah.
And so we are, as quickly as possible, trying to gather resources and make this happen. We've had a few people already pledge support for this project. Ben Wessels, the former CEO of Early Autism Services, has made a personal gift for this morning. And so that's something. And it's, people are willing to support this. And we're prepared and ready and connected enough to get a team in place to make this happen quickly.
Okay. So for right now, there are two things. One is if you have money, if you have any money in the couch cushions, there really is no donation that's too small, correct?
No, of course not. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
no donation that's too large.
well, let's say that too. But I think a lot of times we feel like I don't, money is the one thing I don't have. I think a lot of times we're confused because it's like you could donate what it would cost you for a latte and it would make a difference.
Yeah.
So I'm just putting that out there. But the other thing that we all have is we have internet. I know, because if you're watching this, you have some sort of internet, and we do have a community. And sometimes the community doesn't know what they can do either. So if let's say that you have $10 that you could donate today, that would be amazing. But if you could also share and or start one of these fundraising pages, your effect of what you could do could just mushroom and multiply. And that would be great. Now, what I'm not hearing yet, Molly, but at some point you'll tell us. I mean, I hear you saying that you need sensory things and you need
These are requests
technology,
from the
but you're
families.
not asking for those to be donated yet, are you? Or are you?
We That's a good question. The short answer is if you know that you have that and you would like to donate, you can email support Ukraine at
Okay.
globalautismproject.org or Ukraine support at
There we go.
globalautismproject.org.
I was just going to say, does that one work? Okay.
Yes, thanks to my
Okay.
3 a.m. texting, I
Okay.
messed them up and then we
That's
had
all
to
right.
have both. So
That's
Ukraine
okay.
support at globalautismproject.org. If you know you would like to get involved. The other thing we're actively looking for right now is translators. We need
Ah,
things translated as quickly as possible, mostly into Ukrainian. Some families speak Russian as well. Some families speak Polish, but the emphasis right now is on Ukraine. One of the biggest things that we have to take into consideration is this disruption. We know what it's like when a doctor's appointment gets canceled. We know what it's like when there's a snow day. This is a disruption of just massive proportion that we can't even imagine unless we've personally experienced this. And we certainly can't imagine what it's like for members of the autistic community unless we've personally experienced it as members of the autistic community. So it is a massive disruption. And part of what we really want to do is to be able to keep the kids and their families, the ones who would like to stay, within a semi-familiar culture. At least, so not taking people and displacing them all the way across the world and having them start over. Also, I don't know when the last time is you tried to get services for an autistic loved one in the US, but the waiting lists are months long here.
yeah.
So it's not like you're going to come here or go to Canada and you're going to have services tomorrow. That's just
Yeah.
not what's going to happen. So and even if we can do that, I've had a few people who run autism centers saying, I've got a few spots, I can take some kids. But in terms of creating a systemic solution, I would say, in terms of creating a systemic response is probably better because I don't know that there's a solution just yet. In terms of creating a systemic response, it's really important that we're building capacity for services because again, there's nowhere in the world that can take this on.
Yeah. But I loved what you said about Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Right.
First, I mean, yes, we need to get services for these people, but first we need to make sure that they have shelter and food
Yes.
and are safe. And right now that is at risk. Now, help me, Molly, to know, you say that there's over 100,000 individuals with autism. That doesn't even count their families
That doesn't count their families.
that
Exactly.
that have
Yeah.
evacuated. And do we know where everybody is going? It seems like to me, from what I see, the vast majority are going to Poland, but are we already seeing people making it to Canada and the United States?
We are. There are a few families that I know of personally who have made it to Canada or the U.S. Sometimes via family member, sometimes via friends, sometimes via an autism mom who has opened their home. It's interesting because on Friday of last week, when I first, or I guess it was Thursday, when I first connected with this community, I was like, okay, let's just create a map so we can see where all the families are.
Yeah.
And even in that map, within a few hours, they were all over Europe. And then as I got talking with families and with people who've been working with them for a couple of months, they were like, you can create a map all you want, but they move every few days.
Yeah.
And then with the vouchers, we were thinking, okay, well, let's have every family who gets an autism, or rather who gets an Airbnb voucher through us, let's have them go to one of two specific cities. Well, the challenge there is that having not been there, I don't know that that's the best place to send them.
Right.
And so, the vouchers are good for any country outside of Ukraine. And what we've just told them is that we're looking to set up regional support and start to galvanize and pull together services in these places. This is where our efforts will be. But it's just, I mean,
It's
yeah,
it's huge. There's a huge issue, and I applaud you for taking it on. And honestly, it does give me great comfort knowing that you're doing that. So you're leaving later on this week, and you're actually going to be there on the ground. And I think once you're there, you're going to have a better sense,
much better.
and you're going to know more every day about things that are needed. That's why it's important that we all go to the website. Is
Yeah.
there a way to sign up to follow what's happening, or do we just need to check in regularly, Molly?
That's a good question. We will create that today. If you sign up for a regular mailing list, the other thing I would say is following us on social media is probably
Yeah.
the best. When I'm there, right now, I think I will probably be going live, potentially with families, potentially with teachers. I think one of the most important things to us is the vulnerability and the trauma that these families have endured. We don't want to ask anything of them except for what
Yeah.
can we do,
Yeah.
and what is it that we can build. And I think getting them into housing has been an absolute priority, and we're so grateful to Operation White Stork, who's been able to connect them with housing vouchers so that we're able to do that. But it has been I've been in this for about a week actively.
Yeah.
And so things are changing quickly. But what's not changing is the volume of people asking for support and asking for help. And we'll have on our social media over the next few days, we'll have some excerpts from the Facebook group. We'll have some excerpts from emails, things like that, obviously redacting names and identifying info.
Absolutely. So again, if you're just joining us, and hi, Sapiro, lovely to see you here. Reminding all of us that right now the ask today is that you do one of two things, if not both of two things. If you have any money that you can donate, and literally $10 is fine. And I've said this before on the show. Sometimes we're so caught up in our own thing, and it feels like you said, the doctor appointment gets canceled, and you're like, really? After everything we did to work to get the, and you're in your own stuff, right? And sometimes it just feels so good to do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
It lightens your load. So check the couch cushions, make a donation to the Global Autism Project, but also is the capacity there to set up your own fundraiser today, Molly, or is that
It
something that,
will be. It will be as
okay,
soon as I end this call and I have actually, I don't know if I can put a thing in the link here, but
I think you can.
put a link in the chat.
You can put it in the chat, and then Traven, our producer, can put it in the chat.
Yeah, let me just put this here.
Okay. So the other thing that you can do today is to start your own fundraiser. And I know sometimes we feel squeamy about it, but listen, everybody
Oh my gosh.
is concerned about this as well.
Yeah.
So if you put a fundraiser and say, hey, if you say I'm looking to raise, I always put the amount relatively small. Let's say you say my goal is to raise $1,000. A
Mhm.
lot of times you will exceed it times 5
Yeah.
or 10. Right. But everybody feels good. Your Aunt Martha goes, I can give $100 to that. And you feel better. You feel like you've done something. And to know that you have sent help to someone who is so desperately in need of help right now, right? I
Yeah.
don't know about you. I've been in a place where I needed help, not like this, but that I needed help, and it showed up out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm in other people's arms. So let's be the arms that these people need
Mm.
today. And Traven just put that in the chat for all of our live places where you guys can go to create. That's where you can go to create your own fundraiser, right, Molly?
Yes, exactly.
So that's the ask right now. Now, if you're somebody who feels a fire in you having heard this and you want to do more, Molly also gave us the website to go to, Ukraine support at Global Autism Project. If you
Yep,
want to
just
get
send
more
us an
involved,
email.
if you know or have a business that says, for instance, I have sensory toys
Please
that
email us. Yep.
you could send. If you are someone who's like, I feel the call, I need to do more,
Yeah.
there are more things that we can do, and this is going to be changing minute by minute, day by day. So definitely following Global Autism Project on social media. You guys are on Facebook,
Yeah.
you're on Twitter, Instagram,
Yeah.
everything,
We're on
right?
Instagram and Facebook mostly, but yeah, we're all over these days.
There you go. And I know you guys, sometimes it feels like, I don't know, I said this earlier, Molly, I felt so powerless through all
Yeah.
of this.
I mean,
We
same.
feel
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the cure for that is to do something.
Mhm.
Something. And there is no something that's too small.
Absolutely not. And I think, it's interesting because over the last week, as you can imagine, people have been saying things to me like, we need more Mollies in the world. And
Yeah,
while that is very flattering, what I would say back to you is we need more Sapiros, we need more Amandas, we need more Kathys. We need you to just believe in your ability to make a difference in the world. That's
yeah,
actually all we need. We just need people to believe in their ability to make a difference in the world right now. It's not going to be one person like that person over there doing it. Like this is
yeah,
up to each one of us. We each and every one of us have the opportunity and the ability to make a difference in the world. And that's really the invitation today, is to make a difference in the world in a concrete way, in a way that as somebody
yeah,
watching the Autism Live show, this is something you can really relate to and really understand.
yeah.
One of our goals is to be able to connect people giving to the people receiving as well, over the next couple of weeks, hopefully, so that we can really just start to create connection and community. So many people are writing just saying, I feel so alone. It's just me. I'm the only one here. I'm in a town where I don't speak the language. I'm sleeping on a church floor, and so we can address the housing. And then once we can address the housing, we can address the other needs as well. So
Absolutely.
it is,
And
yeah.
I do agree with them. It would be nice if we could clone Molly. But I bet some of you will go, look, I want to be Molly. But the reality is, we can't all go to Poland on Friday. That is not, all of our lives don't support that, because some of you have kiddos here and you're needed here. But
Yeah,
what we can do is make it possible so that Molly can go and do more.
yeah,
And if you're seeing this and seeing Molly's message here, and we don't just have everybody here on the show. Molly's been in doing this nonprofit for 20 years.
it's so
So
long. 19, only 19, but yeah.
19. Well, doesn't that mean you're in your 20th year?
Yeah,
Uh,
pretty
so
much.
I'm only stretching it
Yeah.
slightly. So, but uh, you can trust her with your funds. So get the piggy bank out, do something good for yourself today that will have an effect halfway around the world, to somebody who is sitting there, that we all understand that they're like, I just need some help right now. I need
Right
it to
now.
show up from somebody who doesn't know me, and they're
Yeah,
having the faith that it will show up. It's
yeah,
you. I'm
it's
looking at you because it's you.
yeah,
And your $10, you might feel like, well, what could that possibly do? But that could be life changing for somebody.
oh,
Um,
absolutely.
and Molly will be there to make sure that that happens. So again, let's go over it one more time. Go to globalautismproject.org, check out what's happening, and follow them on whatever social media that you're on,
Yes,
Global Autism Project.
yeah,
And we're asking that when you go to globalautismproject.org, make a donation of any size to help Molly to be able to do more when she goes to Poland on Friday, because she's going to identify more. And Molly, I'm just going to say to you that we're on we're live pretty much every day of the week,
that's amazing.
here Monday through Friday. If you have an update, you let us know. We'll
Great.
put the
Okay.
call out.
Okay, great. I definitely will. And if any of you, the other thing I think we could ask for right now is if anybody has media connections or any way to help shed some light on these families in particular. I think when you look at large humanitarian organizations, they're just not focused on the needs of people with any disabilities, let alone autism. And I get it, and they can't be at that scale, but we can be, and we have been. And we're ready to leverage and get every single person I've met over 20 years in this, part of this, because there's something really beautiful about having built an organization that's prepared to respond in a time like this.
And I
So
will tell you, Molly, if you have footage and we also are prepared here too at
great.
Autism Network. If you have footage and you need it edited and
Well, thank you.
disseminated, we're happy to do that as well.
Oh, amazing, amazing. I so
I mean, everybody needs to do what they can.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's something that we
yeah,
can. So
yeah,
I'm asking all of you that are listening, if you are not capable of doing anything today, And I think that is a mistaken thinking, because you're
Mhm,
capable of
mhm.
doing something. If
Definitely
you're
are.
here watching the show, you are capable of doing something.
Yeah, click a
Just
button.
share this. Share this with
Have
10
this
people.
conversation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or start one of those fundraising pages. Let's put that back up, Traven, where they need to go. It's in the chat though. Uh,
Mhm. It's in the chat.
Start a fundraising page. All
Yeah.
you have to do is post it to your social media, and things have a way of happening.
They do have a way of happening. We're very fortunate right now to have social media. We're very fortunate to have these direct communications with people.
Yeah.
Where it just allows us to be able to intervene and to offer support in a way that we haven't been able to previously in
Yeah.
wars. So there's a lot of infrastructure in place. This is happening um, really, truly not far from here.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's hard for us to know what is next. And it's hard for these families to know what is next. But if we are able to provide housing and keep people safe right now, that's really the priority. So yeah, just thank you. Thank you so much for responding to my one-line email. It allowed me to join you here. Just
And I think I was at dinner and I was like, Molly doesn't reach out to me very often. And I saw the word Ukraine, and I was like, oh, you know what I thought, Molly? I thought, oh, thank God. Thank
Oh,
God that Molly is doing something, because, like many of you, it's been on my head. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
yeah,
I don't know what to do, but
right.
I knew that Molly would know. And so that's
Figuring
great.
it out.
That's great. I also wanna say to all of you that there's that whole, it doesn't matter what religion or spirituality or practice that you have. There's this idea of do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yeah, yeah.
The world is full of problems. We cannot dispute that, right? But if you think for
Especially right
just
now.
1 second, I do think that perspective taking is the answer to all of our problems every day. But if you think, if that was me and I
Mhm,
was there and I was the person on the
mhm.
spectrum who is stuck, when you told me about this group of young men that are stuck,
Yeah.
uh, that's been whoo on my
Oh,
mind,
boy. I know.
right? Um,
Well, it would be your son, right? How old is your
yeah,
son?
my
Yeah.
son is 18.
Yeah, it
And
would be your son.
uh, and I have watched the footage and said, I don't know what I would do.
Right.
I certainly couldn't have left him behind, but I don't know what I would do. And when you think about things in that way and say, what would I want? And of course, there's all the things you need, housing and all of those things, but to know that someone hears you,
Yeah,
that someone is still sending a thought and love and cares and you matter, is,
you
I
might.
think, almost as important as the rest of it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just the simple idea that you matter, that your
Yeah.
kids matter it's world changing. It
And that
really.
it's not happening in a vacuum, that others
Yes.
see
Right.
and get it,
Yes.
is huge, and
Yes.
healing and
Yes.
healing.
Mhm.
So we can't fix everything, but we
Right.
can today show that we hear, that we care, and that these people matter.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Molly,
Thank
you are
you so much for
amazing.
having me. Thank you.
You're welcome whenever. You
Yeah.
just only have to tell us, because, as I said, that's something that we can do. I
Yeah.
can't come with you to Poland,
Right. Right.
but I want to support you in
I can
going.
join you probably. We can figure out the time zones and all that good stuff, and
Yeah,
we can make it happen just so I can give you an update as I'm meeting families, as I'm meeting I
yeah.
know I'm meeting a number of families. I know I'm meeting a number of teachers and therapists. Um, and I'm hoping to visit other countries as well while I'm there. So it's
And
yeah,
then I will say this, as you, if you have somebody in your organization who can help us to identify, or a place where a central location, so that when families, I'm picturing that at some point, there's going to be a Ukrainian family in almost every city and town
Yeah.
in the United States who could use support. And
Yeah.
if we had a way of being able to look and find a local organization that would be able
Mhm.
to tell us what they needed, then
Yeah.
I'm sure that, instead of having a garage sale, we could all donate to that local family, but we won't know where they are.
Yeah.
Not your problem today, but
Yeah.
somewhere down the line. Once
Absolutely. No,
once
that's
you take
great.
care of the other stuff,
Yeah.
uh, because I know if we did a blanket drive right now, people would say, I've got 10 blankets,
Right.
but we can't send 70,000 blankets with you to Poland on Friday, right?
No,
But
the luggage requirements.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But I'm going to see if we can't find you some sensory toys. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
we
amazing.
we do have a toy guide here. We do know a few toy companies.
Okay. Oh, great.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Oh,
spend
amazing.
a little bit of time on that
I
today.
think little things like that really make a huge difference. Part of what we've been doing is working on the supply chain logistics, and obviously there's life-changing or life-saving supplies that have to get to people.
Yeah,
Individual first aid kits that save your life in the event that you have, an extreme injury, and things like that. And so that's part of what we're checking as well, is what is the supply chain that we can use to get things where they need to go without disrupting, of course, the life-saving
yeah,
stuff that's going in and the food.
yes,
And so that's part of what we're working on as well, which is why I'm just letting everyone know, hey, email us once we have something in place. We're gonna figure out the best way to do it. It's probably gonna look like a stateside gathering of materials and then a
yeah.
large shipment, not like a bunch of small boxes going to the post office.
Okay, all
So
right. Well,
as we figure it out,
keep us posted on that so we can let people know.
well, I absolutely will. Oh, thank you,
Oh,
Amanda.
Amanda's offering to take somebody in. Eventually, that's going to be a thing
Eventually,
too.
that's gonna be needed too. I mean, there's 100,000 families. There's no one country that everybody can go.
Yeah.
Um, and, the people I'm speaking to today at the Council of Autism Service Providers, I also wrote to Laura Unum, who's the president of CASP. You probably know her as well. And
Yes.
she said, I'm sure your schedule's fully booked for the conference next week. Can I have 5 or 10 minutes? And she's like, I'll give you my 10 minutes, 10 of my minutes
That's
and
amazing.
my spots. So yeah, I
Those are valuable 10 minutes.
speak for 10 minutes. Yeah.
That's valuable
Yeah.
10
We
minutes.
just got to get the word out. Everybody wants to help right now. Everybody wants to help. And it's a beautiful thing and it's incredible. And where on earth do you start and who do you help with and where do you go? And it's a humanitarian crisis. And
Yeah.
so I think it feels overwhelming. And I think that keeps us sometimes from feeling like we can make a difference. And so what I just want everybody to hear is that you matter and you can make a big difference in the world right now just by just at your keyboard.
Yep.
So
But Amanda's ready to take in a family. So Amanda, I want you to write to that Ukraine
yes,
support
please
at
do.
Global Autism Project because, there might be a family in your future.
Yeah,
And
there
I
might be a family already in Houston looking for housing, and you don't know. We just have no way of knowing. This was not an organized
yeah,
situation at all. This is a war, this is chaos, this is trauma, this is
yeah.
but there may be a family already in Houston, so I will
There we
check.
go.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Please,
you.
everybody, spread the word. Spread the
Yes.
word. Let's spread the love, and let's help shore up these families. Let's put them in our arms. Okay,
Thank you
Molly,
so
thank you so much.
Thank
Travel
you.
safely. Keep us posted.
I definitely will. We'll plan on an update from the field, specifically for your community.
All right, I appreciate you.
Thank
You
you.
take care. Good luck at the conference.
Thank you. Take
All
care.
right. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.